Hello everyone, Jim from Ohio here, and it's getting late in the year, so it's time to take care of our trees. We put in a lot of time and expense into planting trees. We actually put together a small orchard at our new place this year, and we've done all kinds of things we could do to try to protect them from deer and other pests. We've had limited success. For the most part, we've been able to scare most of the deer away using some devices like this. We've got two electronic spooker devices that we had mounted on stakes out in the yard. Both of these are solar activated, and this one is an ultrasonic unit, and it also has some strobe lights that flash. It's worked very, very well at keeping the deer away. It's supposed to keep other predators away as well. I don't know how well it works for anything else, but throughout the summer it has worked very well for the deer. We've had about, I think we had 6 or maybe 8 of these scattered all around the area where we have our trees planted, and it worked pretty well. Now, this one here works pretty much the same way. It's also motion activated, and it keeps charged through a solar panel that's on top. And while this one is ultrasonic and you can just barely hear the noise, the animals can hear it very well. I can hear it on some frequencies. My wife can't hear it at all, but the deer can definitely hear it. We've watched the deer when they've approached some of the trees, and it really scares them away. This device, on the other hand, it has strobe lights on the bottom that are red, and then it also makes a very loud siren type noise. And it's worked very well too. Now, this one we have had some issues on very windy days when the trees move around. Sometimes it will set off the alarm. It's not supposed to be activated by just movement alone, but it's supposed to work on both temperature and movement. So I'm not sure why the trees were setting it off, but like I said, both of these have worked very well. But my concern is with the winter months moving in, we're not going to have as much sunshine. We're going to have a lot of cloudy weather. And I'm worried that the solar panels just will not be able to keep up. And then on top of that, if there's snow sitting on top of the solar panels, obviously it's not going to be able to charge and the batteries are going to go dead. So I wanted to come up with something else that would work really well to scare the deer away. And I've been all over the internet looking at different things, and this is something that I just came up with on my own. What I did was I went and got just some this is 4-foot fencing, and I used 2 T-posts and just formed a loop. And I don't have it going all the way to the ground. I wanted to make sure that I can still mow and get up to the bottom of the tree. And you can see we've got this sleeve protecting the trunk and the bark. But this way we can still access the bottom of the tree, and the top of the tree is totally protected, so the deer can't get into it at all. And you can see all the way down the line. I've done this with the 4-foot fencing for all of my larger trees, which I only have 3. I've got this apple tree, that's a pear tree, and I've got another apple tree right here. But then when we get down into some of the little smaller trees that we got through our Soil and Water Conservation District, they were very tiny, just little saplings, twigs basically, when we got them. So rather than going with the 4-foot fencing like this, I picked up the 3-foot fencing and did pretty much the same thing, only I used, those are some stakes, the black stakes that I've got here. Those are what we found at our local Menards store, that rather than having to pound in the ground with a T-post pounder, these are just plastic, and they do have a metal stake on the bottom, and you can step them into place. They're not as strong as a T-post, obviously, because they're plastic or vinyl or some material like that. But because they're not as strong, I did end up having to use 3 of them in a triangular pattern to kind of keep those under control. But we have noticed, as soon as I took the electronic spookers down, we did have deer come in, and you can see at the top of this plant right here, you can see where the deer have been chewing all of the branches off of it. And we've noticed that on most of the trees out here. These 2 are peach trees, and once all of the leaves were picked away, and it seems like once the leaves started falling from the trees in the forest, which we have all around us, the deer moved into the yard and started eating the leaves off of these, and they took all of the small twigs and branches with them. The only ones that they really didn't seem to like, we do have a couple plum trees, just American plum trees, and apparently they don't like the foliage on these. Now, I know they do like plums, but they apparently don't like the leaves or the bark. But like I said, we've done this on all of our trees, so highly suggested. There's no way that the deer are going to be able to access these unless they actually tear everything down. Now, the other thing that I'm taking advantage of this opportunity to do, and the reason that I like this method, is this time of year, I do like to use a Dormant oil, and this is the stuff that I picked up. It's an all-season oil that's supposed to take care of any kind of bugs or insects or anything that bores into the trees. And normally this time of year you want to use some type of a dormant oil that you can spray on, so that if any kind of bugs have bored into the bark, or there's any kind of mites or anything like that, the dormant oil is going to soak in and kill anything so that it can't winter over under the bark of the trees. And I am going to go ahead and hit all of the trees, but with this type of fencing around it, I am able to use I just have a little pump sprayer that looks like this, and with this fencing I can still spray everywhere that I need to take care of the trees. So I think that this is going to be a real nice way to go about taking care of them. Now, if you do get some fencing like this, don't underestimate the amount of fencing that it requires. For these 3 fences right here that I use, the 4-foot fence, just the small amount that goes around, that's 10 feet of fencing wire right there, and it's probably only, I'm gonna guess, 3.5 4 feet across, but it does take a lot more of the fence than you would think that it would take. For the 3-foot fencing and the smaller trees, that's each of those is 8 foot. So don't underestimate when you go to buy your fencing how much of it it's going to require. But I thought I'd share this with everybody. I think it's going to work good. And I think that we'll probably be able to leave this on in the springtime too. Just, the deer are going to try to eat anything you have that's easy to get to. And so this is going to allow a little bit of room for the trees to still branch out. Obviously, these are trees that we're going to keep dwarfed down. We don't want them to get huge, so we're going to do everything we can to keep the size under control, and we'll leave this fencing up as long as we need to. And if the tree starts branching out, we may have to take this down and just add to it and expand it out. But we definitely want to keep the trees protected until they're able to get to a size that the deer aren't going to be able to pick every single leaf and branch off of them. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope this is something that you can use for yourself. We'll catch up with you in another video. Take care. Bye-bye.